we?
Monday Night Football, the New England Patriots taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Patriots are coming off of a drubbing on was it Thursday Night Football against the Bills. Pretty lifeless, bad game for the most part. But Puma, there's a lot to unfold here, right? In theory, the Patriots should go in and beat this Arizona Cardinals team. The Patriots are 6-6, the Cardinals are 4-8, and the Cardinals, by all accounts, are on a path to basically blowing the franchise up. They're probably going to fire the head coach at the end of the year. That offense itself is disjointed and out of sync. The one thing I noticed about the Cardinals was the fact that Kyler Murray does a lot of this like high school backyard BS where he runs around, and him doing all that stuff puts the offense out of sync. And like he doesn't understand that he's doing it, and he's yelling at Cliff Kingsbury, but he's the main cause of it. But this is not a Cardinals debate. This is more of a New England Patriots topic. And Puma, there's been a lot of conversation this week in Boston after such a bad performance against the Buffalo Bills. What has happened to this one proud franchise, Puma? The once proud, vaunted New England Patriots, 6 Super Bowls in 20 years, beacon of excellence, got beat down and embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills. So bad so that you quit. One of the guys on Boston Radio made a great point that we didn't understand in the moment, but Sean McDermott and the Bills beat the Patriots and Bill Belichick down to submission, and they gave up. How sad is that? Sad.
Considering everyone thought that, Bill lived rent-free in Sean McDermott's head, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got out-coached.
Yeah.
Twice.
And I mean, there's so much here that I don't even know where to start with, but we begin with Mac Jones playing bad. He's regressed. Year 2, he looks absolutely horrid. Matt Patricia looks like he is weighing over his head as the offensive coordinator, but all this has to point back to Bill Belichick. What he's done to this organization is criminal. He is now 23-23 and even 500 since Tom Brady left New England. And when you factor in his losing record with Cleveland, he is way under 500 as a head coach. He's just another average coach without Tom Brady. And I thought 3 years in Puma, we would be at a better spot. But it's not getting better. It's regressing. We're going the wrong way. And I don't understand how that's possible with the quote-unquote greatest coach of all time.
You want to know how it's possible? Because I'll tell you how it's possible.
How?
You surround yourself with, nonsensical yes men because you don't want to pay anybody at the offensive coordinator position or whatever. If people were to say, hey, Matt Patricia's back on this team as a de facto defensive coordinator, I don't think anyone would really bat an eye, right? Mm-hmm. For everything that Matt Patricia was as a head coach with the Detroit Lions, I think we can all admit he was a decent coach. He was a good coach on the defensive side of the football, right? Would you bat an eye if it came out that Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots?
Nope, I'd be happy they took Belichick's kid out of the room.
Yep, but no, you get these guys, him and Joe Judge, to be the offensive coordinator without giving them the title because you're cheap and you want to save the money for your own budget type of deal. But I mean, Jay, I know we've said it a couple of weeks ago, but after this game, there was just so much chirping coming out of the locker room, and Mac Jones has this, I guess you could say, tact or gift of taking shots in the media, but then walking it back in a way where it doesn't really come off as a shot unless you're really listening to it or if you're entrenched in the market like these beat reporters are, like you are. But I mean, he has a habit of taking shots at Matt Patricia, but it's, you have other players that are taking shots after the game with confusion, and it's it's the Kendrick Bournes who's had a couple of gripes this season, but then Devontae Parker is saying something, and he got here via trade for pretty much an Arby's gift card from the Miami Dolphins. And even he was saying there was confusion. We didn't understand why we were doing everything underneath when we need to push the ball down the field, to move the ball down the field. Hey, Jay, I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Jonas Gray got released for far less. What is going on in this locker room in Foxborough? I've never seen this before.
Well, I mean, we had this conversation many times, Puma, and the culture itself, the Patriot way, is dead. It's a fallacy. It's farce. The Patriot way was simply, Brady's going to get on our asses, and if we don't get to the level of Brady, he's going to chew us out. That's simply what it was. It simply was that. And even if you didn't get to the level of Brady, you didn't put in that effort, and you made all these mistakes, and you didn't run the right route, and you basically held your offensive lineman, you held and you got penalties, it didn't matter because Brady was going to drive you down at the end of the game like he did a couple nights ago on Monday Night Football, and he's going to win that game for you. Everything we've known of the Patriots organization for the past 20 years is a farce. It's a fallacy. And the worst part is, this is the worst part. This is what annoys me the most. At the end of the day, Bill Belichick said before the season started, it's all on me, right? He said, it's on me. Like, if it doesn't work out, it's on me. The problem is, what does that mean? That means absolutely nothing. You can't hold this man accountable. If I was to ask you, Puma, how do you hold him accountable? What is that? People love saying that. People love saying, we're going to hold Bill Belichick accountable. How? What are you going to make him do? Seriously, what are you going to make him do? You're going to ask him to change his coaching staff? He's going to laugh in your face. The man had 20 years of basically unchecked power in New England, and now you're going to tell him to make changes on the coaching staff? So, like it's a beautiful saying, accountability, and we're gonna make sure that he understands what he did wrong. You're not gonna do jack shit. You're not gonna do jack shit because he has the Patriots organization by the balls. He has Kraft by the balls, and it's mostly on Kraft for letting this mad dog run loose on the Patriots organization.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know I've said it a lot, but you heard in the offseason at the owners' meetings in like February and March, where Bob Kraft was on record saying, this season we have to win a playoff game. I'm tired of losing in the playoffs. We haven't won a playoff game in 3 or 4 years. We need to change that. We all viewed that as a veil, Bill, the clock is ticking type of deal. And Bill Belichick right after hires, Tweedledee and Tweedledum as offensive coordinators. I mean, Jay, I know we say it, and you're absolutely spot on about Bill holding the franchise hostage in a sense, but like at some point there has to be the rubber meets the road. Either we're going to change our offensive philosophy, or hey, maybe we're going to get an actual GM and kind of neuter you and your free agency.
He would walk in a heartbeat.
But you know what, Jay? At this point though, I don't even is starting with a new head coach like that bad of a proposition?
Let's do it.
You know what I mean? Like at some point, you're gonna have to rip the Band-Aid off, and this was years ago. Maybe clearly he's changed his sense on things, but he was on record saying he didn't want to be like Marv Levy coaching on the sidelines into his 80s, and I mean he's getting pretty goddamn close. Maybe it comes out as Bill retires, but behind the scenes it was like, hey, you're going to retire, we're actually going to fire you type of deal. I just don't know if the Pats will do that, considering how close he is to breaking Don Shula's all-time wins record as a head coach. But I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that something like that could happen in the offseason, especially given the comments that Bob Kraft said in the offseason.
Let me ask you a pointed question. It's a very simple question, but it's going to be a question that you might have to think about, and I'll fill in while you think about it. Do you think Bill Belichick can fix this? Right? It's a very simple question, but the problem is there's so many variables that point to the fact that he might not be able to. We're 3 years in post-Brady. The franchise is getting worse now than it was year one post-Brady. There's some numbers out there, metrics, that show that Cam Newton's led offense was run at a more better efficient pace than this current New England Patriots offense. So the question is very simple. Coupled the fact that he can't draft, the free agency signings he's had are not great. He can't coach. The penalties and the mistakes, the mental mistakes are through the roof. Can he fix it?
I don't think so. And honestly, I feel like, at this point, you're going to find yourself like the Dolphins did for, eons, where they weren't bad enough to get a top pick in the first round. But they were good enough to just hang out in the mid-teens. At some point, probably not next year, maybe the next 2-3 years, you see the New England Patriots just do what the Dolphins did and just rip it down to the studs, get that first round draft pick to get the quarterback that's going to change the trajectory of the franchise, and start building talent homegrown like the Dolphins have done. I mean, the Dolphins have done a lot of things wrong over the last 20 years. But I never thought I'd say this, but like blowing it up in 2019, ripping it down the studs and trading away Laramie Tunsil for, the 50,000 draft picks that we're still getting from the Houston Texans right now. And, you got yourself Tua, and you got this, other talent, and just, kind of filling the gaps. I think that might have to be the move from the Pats within the next 2 to 3 years. Like, I don't know. You're not going to fix this roster by just treading water in the middle of the first round. And, you haven't hit in free agency. The only air quote hit in the free agency period where he spent like a drunken sailor 2-3 years ago is really Hunter Henry, and he hasn't really done a whole lot. But Jay, who else has been better?
Maybe Matthew Judon, but Judon's also
okay. Fine.
Judon last year faltered down the stretch, and he's doing the same exact thing this year as well. As Judon, so last year's schedule and this year's schedule was similar. A lot of cupcakes in the middle you can feast on, and then got hard last year, and it's getting hard again now. And Judon is fading just like he did last year.